fuck I am, where the fuck I come from. Are they about to remember me? They about to know me.
So that's Raquel Thomas, the most savage queenpin that we've seen in the Power universe so far, and she even went a step further in episode 9, manipulating Kanan to killing Detective Howard without knowing that he's shooting his own father. We're slowly beginning to see why Kanan was the way he was in Power, and it's because Raquel made him this way. Raquel sees Kanan as an extension of herself, and one of many reasons as to why Kanan found it so easy to kill his son Sean. But there is so much more to the mindset and the master plan that Raquel put in place, and seeing Lou in hospital, she said they're about to remember who she is. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly who Raquel is, and the master plan she put the wheels in motion for in episode 8. We're going to dive deep into her mindset and why she made the decisions she made to hit Detective Howard, and having Kanan and Jukebox play their positions, as well as why she turned savage and just dismissed Symphony, and why we saw Raquel in the church as the Red Devil. This is what we're going to break down in this video in relation to the 48 Laws of Power, and how Raquel used these Laws of Power, which will give us a better understanding of why Kanan turned out the way he did. But the ultimate question still remains as to whether she'll be winning come the end of episode 10. So we're also going to be discussing these two images, Julia's role and Unique. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But just as a brief recap, Raquel put a plan in motion the minute she finished her conversation with Detective Howard. She rang Lou to pick up the dry cleaning from Harlem. What she meant was, she wanted him to go and steal Unique's jacket, which they were going to then use to frame him after they'd killed Detective Howard. And it's fair to say this is when Raquel made her mind up in this scene that Detective Howard had to go, because she felt the truth was being close to being revealed about who he really was, and he really wasn't letting go. There was no way Raquel was willing to put Kanan at risk and put her reputation at risk, and Law 5 of the 48 Laws of Power tells us that a lot depends on your reputation, so you need to guard it with your life, learn to destroy your enemies and thwart them before they try and damage your reputation. And Raquel's reputation was definitely on the line. It really would have been damaged if the truth was revealed. But coming to this scene in episode 9, and Detective Howard showing how desperate he was, a man who had nothing left to lose, as the older Kanan's narration told us, and one of the 48 Laws of Powers tells us that everybody has a weakness. In this instance, Detective Howard's weakness is the fact that he's dying from cancer, and he has a need for this bone marrow transplant that only one man can give him, and that's Kanan. And Raquel sensed that something was up, and she knew what she had to do, and she knew the person that had to pull the trigger was Kanan, because he would never expect it from him. She concealed her intentions by telling Detective Howard that she'll allow him to talk to him and tell him the truth, but disguising her real intentions because she had no plans of allowing Kanan to find out the truth. But being at Lou's bedside and seeing what state he was in with what Unique did to him after he rejected his offer of joining his crew, Raquel turned into a real savage in this episode. She now wanted to get rid of all the threats to her family. She said they forgot who the fuck I am, where the fuck I come from, and they're about to remember. And this is why she was so dismissive of Symphony. Some of you might have had questions as to why Raquel was so cold in this scene, but Raquel entered into a really dark place with her mindset, especially after seeing Lou, where she had no emotion. She turned really cold. She was someone who was willing to do anything and sacrifice anyone to protect herself and her whole family, and she thought being in love was a distraction and her taking the eye off the ball. So being this savage queen that she wants to be, she can't have any distractions, and that includes Symphony. And this is why she was so dismissive of him in this situation. She's family first, just like she showed in this scene with Marvin. But dismissing Symphony wasn't the best move from Raquel, because all Symphony has ever done is proved how loyal he is to Raquel and Kanan. He's been there for both of them, and even again in this situation, despite Raquel dismissing him, he warned her about Tony and how Marvin can't trust her, and something that could have gone over her head because of how angry she was, which could definitely later come back and bite the Thomas family. But knowing Raquel, she hears and finds out everything, so hopefully she did hear Symphony's warning about Tony, because she's definitely another threat to not just Marvin, but the whole Thomas family. But coming back to her plan, she had two of her most trusted soldiers out, which were Scrappy and Lou, so she had to turn to Jukebox and Kanan to help her. She had Jukebox play the position with Detective Berg, with Juke feeding her the information that Unique is planning on hitting the cops that hit his re-up, which is why we could be seeing this scene in episode 10, with Berg arresting Juke, and she had Kanan playing the most important position, the position of having to kill Detective Howard, because she told Kanan that he was a threat to her and the family. And during Raquel's speech to Kanan, she adopted Law 15 of the 48 Laws of Power, which tells us that you need to crush your enemy totally, because leaders know that a feared enemy has to be taken care of, which is why she told Kanan to make no mistakes. She asked him to hit him twice in the chest and once in the head, and that's because she wanted to make sure he was crushed completely, because she definitely does fear what would happen if the truth came out about Detective Howard being the father to Kanan, especially for her reputation, just as we discussed before. Now, whether or not Detective Howard is still alive or whether they're just throwing us off with this trailer scene, we're really gonna have to wait and see. But I really thought this was the first time Kanan wasn't gonna make a mistake, and this was actually gonna be the making of Kanan Stark. But as with everything else in this first season, I'm sure Raquel's gonna have to clean this up, and with the help of Scrappy it seems. But while she sent Kanan to shoot Detective Howard wearing Unique's jacket, she was at church, where she asked her mum why she turned out the way she did, and a lot of people had questions as to what this church scene meant. And what I took from this scene after rewatching this episode was, this was Raquel, a devil in a red dress. She wanted to make sure she had an alibi for the death of Detective Howard, as well as maybe asking for forgiveness for what she asked Kanan to do. So she was at the church while Kanan was killing Detective Howard, and Rack really was a bit of a devil in this episode, sending Kanan to kill his own father moments after Detective Howard himself had saved Lou from being killed by Unique's men, who was sent to the hospital. And this is the reason why Rack is in charge, because she gets shit done and she makes tough choices. As I mentioned with him saving Lou's life and telling him that she'll allow him to speak to Kanan, she did the complete opposite. She really was cold in this episode, and this is what Marvin said: Rack is better than him. She sees things that he doesn't see, and she thinks what he doesn't think, and he's right. The whole move with Unique's jacket and killing Detective Howard, killing two birds with one stone, was a masterstroke, or would have been a masterstroke, because we don't exactly know if everything will go to plan after Kanan messed up again. So will Raquel's plan work? Now from the trailer it seems as if it will, because we see the police busting into Unique's place and arresting him, and maybe Julia even has a role left to play this season. She could hold all the cards when the police start to question people about whether they saw anything. She could back up Rack's plan and tell them that she saw Unique. We saw how Raquel helped her when she dealt with Gabriel in exchange for setting up this meet with her cousin Joaquin, a favor for a favor. So I do think she's still someone who will help Raquel if she needs it. But everything we just went through with how cold and ruthless Raquel is, it really is beginning to become clear as to why we saw Kanan becoming the character he did in Power. So bringing this video to a full circle, as we always do, Raquel really does see Kanan as an extension of herself, but I still feel there's still so much more to come from Raquel, because Kanan becomes so savage to the point he felt no remorse killing his own son Sean. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Will Raquel's plan work? Will Unique be arrested and sent to prison? Because I certainly think he will. But as he does, a new threat will emerge, as we've seen in the history of Power, and who this threat could be, who knows. And I also do wonder whether Marvin and Lou and Jukebox know that Howard is Kanan's father, because Marvin did tell Kanan that he's Defcon's boy, but there are secrets that Juke knows, so this is a question hopefully we have answered at some point. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, and of course if you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.